yeah, we just want to make sure that we're doing right by the people that are putting in all that hard work. So Vail Mountain Coffee and Tea has been in business for over 30 years. Our location is right in the heart of like the Rocky Mountains. We're in Minturn, Colorado, just like a few miles down the road from Vail proper. But we work with farms directly. We call them like micro estates. We work with a lot of farmers who are, if they're not fair trade certified, then they are using practices that are considered fair trade, but maybe they just can't afford that certification.
Got it.
So yeah, we work with a lot of different farms, and then in terms of like tea, same thing. It's like we buy direct from tea farms in like Taiwan, Japan, China, and all of these relationships that we have had with the producers that we work with have been going on for years at a time. I know like a lot of our tea people, we've been together over a decade, and same thing for like the coffee as well. And then we also have a reserve line where we like to kind of bring in coffee, like new coffees every few months that maybe are doing like a honey process, or maybe took a small portion of their farm and are using like, you know, banana leaves to like kind of shade the coffee, and it's kind of like developing a different sort of flavor profile. So we like to kind of keep things fresh around here as much as we can. And yeah, I mean, we're all a bunch of coffee nerds here, so yeah, we're drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak, all the time, and trying to like get others on board, with that same sort of like mindset of small, sustainable, and buying direct.
That's awesome. So is it all the coffee and all the tea that you guys provide for customers, is all of that direct trade?
It is.
Wow.
So yeah, there's farms in like Africa, specifically Ethiopia, that we have been working with specifically year after year after year, which is really great because like the more support that you can give them, the longer they're going to stay in business, and offering them a fair price for what they're supplying us as well. So we try to like mitigate the middlemen as much as possible. So it's the farmer, it is like the import export company that we work with, and then us. So yeah, we try to shrink that supply chain line as small as we can.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you guys go, I mean, I don't know if you can speak to this, but when you guys go and look for these direct trade partnerships, what is it that you're seeking out when you're meeting with these producers or these farmers? And how did you guys build those relationships? And what kind of relationships do you guys have outside of just, trade?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different programs down in Central and South America. One's in Costa Rica. It is let me make sure I get the name right. The Costa Rican Pastora Co-op Terrazzo Fair Trade. It's also part of the Rainforest Alliance as well. So every single bag of coffee that we buy from that co-op is that those funds are going back into education. They're going into like equipment. They're going into any sort of like maintenance, healthcare, and schools as well.
Wow.
So yeah, we work with these, like, it's really fun to like work with the co-ops because you get to know exactly what they need. And by having like that ongoing conversation of like, okay, like how's equipment going? Like, do we need to talk about sort of educational seminars or something like that? And we learn a lot from them in terms of like how their production is going. And then they learn a lot from us in terms of like, I mean, honestly, it's more like we learn a lot from them. It's really fascinating to work with the farms because you get to see and hear in great detail all of the hard work that they put into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Costa Rican co-op, and then the Colombian Women's Project is one that we started 6 years ago. And that was specifically directed to women who were conflicted by the guerrilla warfare that was happening down there. Central and South America, it doesn't have a great history of supporting women
Hmm.
in the workplace. And a lot of times it's families that are running these coffee farms. And the women were finding that this gets a little sad, but they were widowed due to all of the fighting that was occurring. And so
Wow.
pick them up, they picked themselves up by their bootstraps, so to speak, collectively got together and went to the government and said, you know, we want to build like a co-op. We want to take over the coffee farms that are
Hmm.
kind of falling to the wayside. And so, with funds from a Canadian coffee roaster, ourselves, and then two other coffee importer exporters, we all came together to support this mission that they had.
Wow.
So like the Costa Rican co-op, it's every bag of coffee that we buy from them helps fund education, infrastructure, equipment, so on and so forth. And so those are like two programs that we've been working on for a really long time, and we're really really proud of them because it was a little shaky at first.
Hmm.
Nobody was really sure like if it was going to succeed, and it's now the Colombian one. It's been going on for over 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
really
awesome.
really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just to hear how like closely interwoven you are to like these massive changes in the co-ops, that's so cool to hear.
It's wild.
Yeah, and I was just watching some more things about, direct trade, fair trade, and one of the quotes at the end that stuck with me was like your everyday purchases should really align with your everyday values. So one of the things
Yep.
I was thinking I wanted to ask you that I didn't include was, is this something too that you feel like your customers are interested in or have asked for, or like do you guys try to teach your consumer base kind of like the really what's behind the
Yeah.
product?
Yeah, so we were made aware of these programs through the company that we work with in regards to the farms.
Hmm.
And, you know, it was up to us whether or not we wanted to be a part of it. And it wasn't anything that we were specifically seeing anyone else like around the state do or any other coffee roasters around us. And in our minds, like when I came onto the company about 7 years ago,
Hmm.
and one of the first things I wanted to do was talk about sustainability, recycling. How are we buying our coffee? How can we make that story more transparent to our customers
Yeah.
on the wholesale and the retail side?
Hmm.
And so it's kind of just like a core mission for us that we shop sustainably, that we're
Hmm.
roasting to honor all the hard work that those farmers put into the coffee. And then we try to, you know, take that extra step by making sure that our customers, again, wholesale and retail, are aware of where the coffee is coming from. Because a lot of people, you know, you just grind the beans, you brew the cup, you get in and yourself, like you're like, I just need the caffeine to like get me going. And it's such a ubiquitous product that I don't think a lot of people think about where it's coming from all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um, and it has such a amazing history, and there is so much that goes into that one little bag of coffee. And yeah, we just want to make sure that we're doing right by the people that are putting in all that hard work.
Yeah, that's amazing because you guys really are spreading so much awareness. And you're right. I think I mean, almost everyone drinks coffee. And I think that it's
Yeah,
one of those you don't know what you don't know type things. And once
yeah,
you know all this background information, you can't unknow it. So obviously, you want to make smarter choices in where you're buying your coffee from. So thank you
exactly.
for spreading that awareness. Like you kind of touched on it already, like you were talking about like the banana peels and all that. So I was asking
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how does the conscious sourcing and the
Oh, the
direct trade,
flavor.
yeah, flavor, quality, how
Yes.
does it affect all of that?
So by going to these like smaller coffee estates, we find that there is a lot of care given into those beans. Like whether it be a washed process or a natural processed coffee or a honey process, the when the beans get to us, you can open up the green bag and smell how like amazing and exotic they are already, like just as a green bean.
Wow.
Then you roast those beans and you're usually like blown away by like the flavor profile. And we get coffees from Africa, Indonesia, Central and South America. And the coffee profiles for each of those different regions of the world are all wildly different from one another. And so their hard work and going for those like kind of smaller coffee estates, it it gives us an in to, I think, a very unique and high quality bean that you're not going to get if you're just like buying it in bulk, maybe like from Brazil or Colombia and using like that one type of bean and then
Mhm.
roasting it at like different levels. We
Right.
take a lot of care by sourcing from like different regions throughout the world. And we offer those coffees as like a single origin, and we roast those in like a light roast manner so that it doesn't cover up the flavor of the bean.
Mhm.
Because if it is like a naturally processed bean coming from, the Gadeb region of Ethiopia, you don't want to cover that up. You want
Right.
to make sure that you're roasting it perfectly, you're roasting it lightly, and you are highlighting all of those wonderful flavors that those farmers put into it. Because there are, I mean, if we're talking about naturally processed coffee, you're talking about like a couple of weeks just on like a drying patio or a drying bed. And then like the milling process. So there's like a lot of work that goes into that.
Right.
And that's just to remove like the mucilage from the bean and like
Right.
get it ready to like, ship out. So yeah, buying from like the small farms, uh it gives us the ability to offer our customers an exquisite bean that I don't think that you're gonna find. You can find it other places, but the way we roast it, we just want to honor all the hard work that they did.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you have such well said answers. Like, I want to go buy some of your coffee right now. It's like very informational, but very good sales too.
I think I nerded out on our website a little too hard, and I'm like, I could probably condense that a little bit.
No,
It's
I
a
think that's
lot of
good though.
information.
I think that's good though. Like people really nerd out on the type of coffee because there's options out there,
Yeah,
especially now that specialty coffee is becoming a little bit more popular and people care
it
more and
is.
they know,
Yeah,
light roast, you can taste the coffees more. So I think it is important because people really want to know all these little details that you're
they
talking about
do.
right now.
It's like my favorite thing when somebody calls in and they're like, "I'm looking at your website," and then they want to do like a deep dive, and I'm like, "I'm here for the deep dive. Like,
Yeah. I
talk to me,
love that.
please."
I love that. Well, I mean, you've pretty much covered everything and then some on all the questions I asked, but is there anything else, I guess, that you wanted to add as far as sustainability or transparent sourcing or anything about, Vail Mountain's
Mm,
mission in general?
I would say that when we found Savor Brands, I was really excited because you guys not only offered a really, really beautiful package, but you
Yeah.
offered the materials that were needed for us to be able to have a completely like recyclable program. Like we don't have compostability up here, and the packaging not only keeps our coffee fresh, like really,
Mhm.
really fresh.
Mhm.
There are just never any issues with it. It stands out on the shelves, like, and it's another component like within our business model that we're able to offer, that sort of holistic view of like the coffee sourced is either going to be fair trade or ethically sourced. The
Mhm.
packaging is going to be conscientious. We're looking towards the future, and we don't want to like muddle our earth. We want to be able to like, make more coffee, sell
Yeah.
more coffee, all that good stuff. And so having the packaging component go along with the way that we purchase, just, we can go to bed at night, rest easy.
Yep,
it's
yep. I know.
it's
I
a
I
good feeling.
remember I remember working with you on this project and you were talking about how long it had been since you guys really refreshed the packaging and it was nice because when
Yeah.
we came into the project you had all these things that you wanted to hit and like the sustainability part,
Mhm.
the upgrading just the artwork itself. So yeah, that was a fun
Yeah.
project. Well,
It was so fun. Yeah.
thank you for that little plug on us too.
Absolutely.
Okay, well
Anytime.
that was all my questions. Thank you so much, Jen. That was perfect.